Quinn is shocked when Fred proposes a fake engagement to protect his secrets and get rid of his manipulative ex-wife. Intrigued by the challenge and the potential to help him, Quinn considers this outrageous proposition. Could this be a way to finally escape her own suffocatingly perfect life and find some real adventure? And what about Jake? He was a wonderful boy, and he deserved a loving home. But the risks were enormous. Could she truly play this dangerous game, pretending to be someone she wasn't, all for the sake of a man she barely knew? And what would happen when this temporary arrangement inevitably came to an end?
My kids have already been through so much. With the move and everything, that would be really hard for them. It wouldn't be fair to them, Fred. Fred softened his eyes.
You really are such a good mom, Quinn. Always thinking of them first.
You always put Jake first, too. You wouldn't be in the situation with Beatrice that you are if you hadn't decided to do what was best for your son. I'm actually glad you kicked her out. She wasn't good for Jake.
No, she wasn't,
sighed Fred.
I only wish I'd seen it sooner. It's easy to get caught up in other things when I have so much responsibility on my shoulders.
Well, you've discovered it now, said Quinn.
Yes, I have. And don't think there won't be a paternity test involved. Beatrice may have been lying all along.
Quinn had to agree. That's true, unfortunately. What will you do if you find out that Jake isn't really your son?
Jake is my son, in all the ways that matter. I don't care whether it's biological or not. I loved that boy from the moment I saw him. It's not about that. It's about exposing Beatrice and her lies, and that's that.
Quinn sat back down on the bed next to Fred. What are we going to do? She asked.
Listen, said Fred. Kids are resilient, more than we ever give them credit for. When it's time for you to move back out, we'll be friendly about it, and I will make sure that you're all financially taken care of. Anything they need. Anything you need. For life.
Quinn searched Fred's face for any hint of deception and could find none. This man really was in a vulnerable position, and she felt something stirring in her. Perhaps it was her doctor's instinct to want to help. Maybe it was the thought of Denny and Sammy being rich and wanting for nothing their whole lives. But as much as she wanted to resist this idea, Dr. Quinn Murphy was forced to admit that Fred's plan actually was good for her, and also good for all three of the children. They might all be my children anyway, thought Quinn, remembering how eerily similar Jake and Denny had looked on that roller coaster together at Dragon World. How they might have been thought of as twins by anyone who saw them. Maybe, just maybe, this chance Fred was offering her was also Quinn's best chance to reunite with the firstborn triplet that had been stolen from her, which had been the entire reason for her move back to the United States in the first place. It was a chance, and this was a chance that Quinn knew in her mother's heart that she simply could not pass up. Okay, she said. I'll do it.
You will? You'll be my fake fiancé?
He asked, his eyes hopeful and pleading. I will be your fake fiancé. But I want a very large diamond, Mr. Smith, and I want our agreement in writing. Fred laughed.
Of course. I'll send over a 5-carat setting, darling, he said.
Quinn rolled her eyes. No need to go overboard with all the lovey-dovey talk.
It's going to have to be convincing, you know. People can suspect that the engagement isn't real. You know that, Quinn, right?
She picked up a pillow and hit Fred playfully. I should suffocate you with this, she laughed.
Now, doctor, teased Fred. First, do no harm. That's your oath, right?
Look, I'll play the part you need me to play, both as your doctor and also as your fake fiancé. I'll call Mally Martinson Sneed right away and have them draw up the contract. Confidentially, of course. You need your rest, mister, said Quinn, removing the phone from Fred's hand and placing it on the dresser across the room. You just had a seizure, in case you had forgotten that. The contract can wait. Your health comes first. I guess I'd better get used to following doctor's orders, said Fred, resigned to obeying Quinn's decree. When will we tell the children? She wondered. Well, we'll have to wait until your ring is delivered. Will you at least let me place that call? Quinn sighed and returned Fred's cell phone to his waiting hand. Fine, but just one. Fair enough, agreed Fred. With the rate that Beatrice was buying jewelry, I'm a pretty good customer there. So, it should be here by this evening. Perhaps we should all have dinner? That's a great idea. And of course, we are still at Dragon World, laughed Quinn. Most magical place on earth, they say. You should make reservations for the Knight's Table. That whole medieval feasting hall place. The kids will love it. I can do that, said Quinn. Now you rest. Call Lance to stay in the suite and wait for your delivery. And I'll see you and Jake at, say, 8 o'clock at the Knight's Table? Absolutely, my lovely wife-to-be, crooned Fred as Quinn shook her head and laughed. This would certainly be an interesting ride, she thought to herself. Just then, there was a small knock on the door. Both Fred and Quinn perked up immediately. Quinn rushed to the door and opened it. On the other side, looking small and petulant, was her own son, Denny, who was pretending to be Fred's son, Jake. Jake! Yelled Fred from the bed. Where on earth have you been? We were so worried. I wanted a soda, he began. Quinn threw her arms around the boy. You could have asked your father for soda, kiddo. It's not safe for kids to go around by themselves. Yeah, I know, said Denny. I saw the security guards throw out some crazy lady. I hope she wasn't trying to take a kid. Fred, groggy after his seizure, might have noticed that his son, Jake, would certainly have recognized Beatrice. But for now, he didn't feel well, so this went unnoticed. Listen, buddy, said Fred weakly. We're all going to rest up for the afternoon, and then we'll go to the Knight's Table for dinner, okay? The Knight's Table? Yelled Denny enthusiastically. Awesome! That's where they do all the shows and have the big turkey legs and that big fat guy dressed as the king. It's going to be a special celebration, said Fred, sharing a knowing glance with Quinn. The doctor and I have something to talk to you kids about. What could that be? Wondered Denny. Had his plan worked? Were Fred and Quinn actually going to get married?
Quinn and Fred had made a big decision. To help Fred, Quinn agreed to pretend to be his fiancée, even though it felt wrong. The children might not understand what was happening, and there were many questions left unanswered. Would their fake relationship cause problems? Would the truth come out and hurt everyone? What if they find out that Jake might not be Fred's real son? Will the kids notice that something is wrong? What will happen when Fred's ex-wife, Beatrice, finds out about his engagement? Will this plan help Fred bring Quinn closer to her lost son, or will it make things worse for everyone?
Hey, I'm Jenny. If you're wondering what happens next, download the Pocket FM app now and listen to the exciting episodes of A Mother's Battle.